Welcome back, everybody, to the Children First Family Law podcast. I am really excited today to have a young woman with me named Liberty, who is going to be using her real name, but not her face. So if you're watching this on a video platform, you're just going to hear her voice and not see her image. So she gets a little bit, it's like partial anonymity. But Liberty, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Krista. It's great to be here.
So, Liberty, how old are you?
21.
21. I thought you're older than that. You come across much older than that, but 21. So the age of my youngest kids at this time that we're recording. Liberty and I met through a sort of semi-professional context, but if people know me, they know that no matter where I go, I seem to be talking to people about how to do divorce better. And so Liberty and I got to talking about her own story, and I was so encouraged that her parents actually did divorce so well. And she has been nice enough to be available to come on and share her story with listeners in the hopes that we can encourage parents and perhaps children of divorce who might be listening to this in the future, that it really can be done in a way that isn't completely devastating to children. So with that, Liberty, give us a little background just on, you're 21 now. So how old were you and what grade were you in when your parents got divorced or told you they were getting divorced?
Yeah, so my parents, they told me and also got the divorce kind of around the same time, if it wasn't already kind of in action when they told me. I was in sixth grade.
Okay.
So I don't know, that puts me around
Like
12?
12 years old or something like that?
Yeah, something
S
around there.
So tell me about how they told you, because I mean, that would be pretty unusual these days to say, like, let me ask it a different way. How long after they told you did they go into 2 different homes?
I would say about less than 2 months. Less
Okay.
than
Okay, so what do you remember about how you were told? Do you remember it?
I do. I remember pretty well actually. Um, Because funny enough, it was either on Thanksgiving or right around Thanksgiving
Oh,
when they
okay.
told me.
Okay.
Um, from what I remember, I believe it was on Thanksgiving because we were going to a little family friend's house afterwards for Thanksgiving dinner.
Okay, that's a little odd, right? Did that feel
Yeah,
odd?
it felt a little bit weird, especially to tell me like before a family event. But I think they mostly did that because they were probably preparing themselves to be in that kind of like familial situation whilst going through what kind of already seems to be like set in motion.
What do you think mattered the most in how your parents told you?
They did it together
Yeah.
and they made sure it was mostly focused in the way they were telling me, it was mostly focused on how I was feeling and sort of like ensuring that I knew that it wasn't a product of me, but rather something that they felt they had to do because of who they were as people.
Mm, yeah.
But yeah, they
Oh,
were
yeah.
very focused on like my feelings and what they could do for me and ensuring that like I felt, you know, quote unquote okay with it.
Mhm. Did then it become, I guess the flip of that is, what didn't they say, right? So they didn't make it about themselves so much, right? They didn't make it stressful for you.
Right.
Like, did they start talking immediately, or did you ask questions of like, where am I going to live? What's it going to look like?
I actually don't really remember that part as well. I don't know if it was included in the conversation, but I do remember that I wasn't really necessarily worried about having to like pick a parent or like have a place to live. I do think my mom had told me that she was going to be the one moving out. Um, but they never asked me to pick a side or to pick a parent. So that kind of led into like their um like custody, if you will. It
Yeah.
was very even. It was very like I just split like weeks with them. So 1 week with mom and then 1 week with dad. And I just switched that on and off once my mom moved out. And that was as easy, honestly, as easy as it could be for a young kid. But like they they shared time equally pretty much, and so I never had to pick and choose or worry about any of that because I knew where I was gonna be the next week, and there was no argument about that.
Did that start really close after this conversation you had? You said
Yes.
okay. Like, did she already have a place? You said it was maybe 2 months after that all started?
Mhm. I have a feeling that she probably was already looking. I
Mm,
wasn't sure if she actually did already have a place, but we did move we and I guess she did move out like pretty quickly after.
okay.
Um, but that was part of it too, is like I never really knew like when the divorce was final. And I didn't really know like when things were happening, which I think was a good I guess because it gave me less to worry about. I just kind of was able to go with the flow and just for them to be like, okay, like mom's leaving, you'll be going to her house next week. And then that's kind of just like starting the routine.
Did it ever get to be bad for her, or was she able to kinda keep that on the rails?
For the most part, she was able to keep it on the rails. As I got a little bit older, I think when I don't know, probably like she struggled with the divorce for probably around at least like 2 years or so when she was like drinking a little bit more and all these things. Um, because something else that just I just remembered as well too is like I can't remember if I heard it from both of them. I think it was. There was this moment where they were like, "We still love each other." And there's a lot of history between us because they had been together for a long time since high school and all that. But they had told me that, like, we still love each other, and I think my mom was still in love with my dad, but they just weren't making it work. And so I think that was also part of it. And so a couple years into it, while she was still struggling with it, probably a year and a half, 2 years later, I mean, her drinking was a little more apparent to me because I was a little bit older. So she would come into my room sometimes, and just like do the drunk, like motherly thing, like if you're hungry, there's this and this, but it was never like angry or blameful or anything like that. She was never taking it out on me. She was just, like you said, kind of just like numbing it, trying to work through it on her own, if that makes sense.
So how do you think your parents' divorce, like, as you reflect a little, I mean, you're still young, you're gonna have, much more insight probably as you get older, but how do you feel like your parents' divorce shaped you as an adult, like, about your view of relationships or your your own future relationships or commitment and things like that?
I think it definitely made it a little, I don't even wanna say complicated, but it made me more cautious, I think, because, I mean, I don't think anyone ever sets out to be divorced. I don't think anybody ever wants that, and sometimes it is unavoidable in a sense, but I did always feel very loved, and so I will always be looking for that in a future partner for myself
Mm,
because that's one of the most important things, and, like, the way that my parents went about their divorce, it showed me that, like, I guess that you can still love people and not be with them. So, like, that distinction also makes probably relationships slightly difficult because, you're not together, but you still love each other, so how does that work? But I think that it didn't really, like, ruin my idea of relationships. I don't think everyone's doomed and that, like,
yeah.
every relationship is gonna end in divorce. And I know that a lot of people might see it that way, but I also feel like that happens because of, like, tragic situations. So the way that they approached everything and went about it with me and, like, put me first, I still feel very safe and, like, okay with relationships. And I think that, like, given putting in the right work, it can work and still be very fruitful. So, I mean, yeah, I don't think that it ever really, like, discouraged me from being in any relationships. Um, it might have given me some odd outlooks or, like, behavioral things as far as relationships go because, I mean, it's still definitely, like, muddied my vision of what one should do or like how that looks.